Hey there, investors. Welcome to my very first flip. So some of you might be a little shocked by that, like Devin, you already own 9 houses. What are you talking about? You've been flipping forever. Well, I don't call renovation projects that I do flips. The flipping word tends to imply that you are buying the home, renovating it with the intent to sell it to an end buyer. What I do is I do buy and holds, which means I'm buying it, renovating it, and then keeping it to rent to tenants. The entire process is actually very different with the type of finishes you do and kind of the work that gets involved with it. Well, this is my first flip. So many of you probably watched my video on why I don't flip, and there's a lot of reasons why I don't flip generally in Baltimore. However, over time, many of you are going to want to start flipping because it's a lot of cash that can shore up your account all at once. If you're tired of moving your job income to pay for your rental income, well, then you're going to want a lot more than just the little bit of cash flow that a lot of rentals bring in. Doing some flips can shore up some cash for you so you can use the cash from your business generated by the flips to buy you more flips and then potentially down the road more rentals. It also creates cash reserves. So I'm going to show you this house and why I flipped it, okay, or why I intend to. I actually just got this house under contract. I'm going to give you all the numbers, all right, as I usually do in my deal breakdown. And this time I'm going to show you how I calculate flips, because many of you are used to BRRRR strategy deals. I'm going to show you all of this house, and then I'm going to show you how I come to the conclusion this house was worth flipping. So let's get into it. All right, so the beautiful thing about this one is that it was mostly renovated already for us. A lot of the rough-in is already done. So when this happens, you actually want to make sure that the person pulled permits on the property, because when you go to sell, the end buyer is going to learn whether this is permitted work or not. So you do want to make sure it's permitted. Luckily, all we're seeing right now is a lot of the rough-in, all right? So we see the rough-in being done. The rough-in is when the electrical and the HVAC systems and plumbing is being done beyond the wall, all right? And then they drywalled it up. Luckily, this isn't going to be too difficult for us to assess. As I take you around the house, you're going to see what I'm talking about. But what I want to look for is certain things, like the outlets. Is that done right? All outlets need to be about 8 feet from each other in a room in order to be legal in this area. And actually, this is most of the country this law applies. And you need an outlet at least 6 feet from a door. So essentially, I'm looking at it. I see outlets intended to be here for that. All right, and the next thing I'm kind of looking for is maybe like, is it the design kind of what I'm looking for as far as the lighting? Here we see that the person intended to, basically put just a normal ceiling fan in. But me, personally, I'm a fan of recessed lighting. That's not too difficult for me to put in here because it's all new framing. But that's just something that I may look at as like, okay, what are they already doing with this house? I also want to see the plumbing and the HVAC, so we're going to get to that in a minute. But I also note that they've insulated the walls. I'm actually really happy about that. So that saves me a lot of money, and it shows that the person does care about the house, because a lot of people just wall it up and they don't even care if there's insulation. So I want to make sure that that's the correct R value. All right. So if you don't know what R value is, a lot of insulation has different ratings. Make sure that you have the right R value for your walls and ceilings. But here, we already know it's correct. He's obviously insulated even further with a lot of this. This seems to be a house this person definitely took some time in. So I'm really happy about that. There's probably not going to be too many surprises. And really where you're going to find surprises most that you're not going to like is in the kitchen and a lot of times the utility room. So I'm going to take you to the kitchen now and the basement area, and then we're going to go up to the bedrooms and I'll show the layout and why I like the design. All right, there we have proof that our HVAC system was installed. We have a return vent, so that is excellent. They've even put it in the proper place. You normally want your return vents to be in open areas, generally like a living room, or maybe a kitchen, but probably more like a living room, because you don't want a lot of stuff getting sucked into it from, what you're gonna find here in the kitchen. So what am I looking for necessarily in the kitchen? So the outlets are all in the right place. All right, perfect. I like the fact that he already has kind of like the electric installed for me for the fridge. You can look for a water line to check to see if I have a water line already ready to go. But the way this house is right now, it wouldn't be too difficult to install one. He actually already has the plumbing ready to go. So we can see the water lines here, and then we can see the drain lines. So perfect. We can obviously see where he wanted the stove to go because he has the gas line here, and then he has this wiring here, and oh well, heck, he even marked it stove. I'm actually just noticing that. So we can notice some of the intent here. Also, many of you may look at the flooring, because the flooring is going to cost us a lot of money. And it's like, okay, so we see this hardwood here. We could finish this hardwood, but the problem is it doesn't look like whoever renovated this actually wanted to finish the hardwood, because we have this plywood over here. See, it seems like either they wanted to finish the hardwood and then switch to tile for the kitchen, maybe, that might have been the approach, or they were just going to lay vinyl throughout. We can probably tell a little bit better as we continue throughout the house to see what the rest of the flooring was going to be. So if you're wondering, hardwood refinishing it, it's probably going to be about $250 a square foot. That's generally the prices I expect in my area. Whereas if I get vinyl, I'm going to be, it's about $150 a square foot if I want to get some kind of cheap but pretty good quality vinyl. Then plus the cost of install, which is going to be another $1 a square foot. So now we're at $250 a square foot. Plus we have then the underlayment that goes underneath of it. So generally, maybe about $3 a square foot, sometimes $3.50, depending on the type of vinyl that you get. So you can already tell that refinishing the floors is actually less expensive most of the time, as long as we have enough ready to go here where there's enough layers to sand it down. Then here we would just factor in the cost of the tile. And if we wanted to go that route, maybe this could just be vinyl here in this kitchen area, and it could have a nice like kind of landing look. So that way, you know, maybe a nice like transition to say, hey, you are now officially in the kitchen. So, so these are some of the things that I'm looking at. I'm actually noticing once again, the lighting, they didn't want recessed lights in here. I personally prefer recessed lights, but hey, another thing I noticed is this window. You can see how old it is. If you know from my videos, those who watch my channel, it's about $250 a window. So windows are terrible. So basically they can add up really fast on you. Luckily, this is the only window in the house that I see that actually is a problem. And you can even see from his markings that he intended to carve this out and make it more of a window. So perfect, that's great for me. They already kind of planned around that. So I have my HVAC. Looks like the plumbing was done right, but there's only one way you're really gonna tell, and that's you go into the basement, or at least here in Baltimore City, you go into the basements, and you can check in the actual area where all the plumbing is coming from. So let's go ahead and take you there now. All right, so here we are in the basement area, and you can see kind of what we have going on here. It looks like the person actually decided to reframe all of this. You're actually going to see a little bit of debris here where they kind of broke it apart. This actually works for us pretty well. Didn't look like they wanted to put insulation behind it, mostly because remember we're in a basement, so a lot of times you won't need the insulation. We can get a little bit more of a view of where things are coming in. The water lines coming into the house, feeding from the front of the house. We can actually see, you know, here, obviously now putting in recessed lighting. So we clearly meant to finish this room and turn it into what looks like a kind of like a den area, maybe play area for the kids. Now you have two options here, all right? So this house is a 2-bed, 1-bath house. Now I can work with the comps on that and still make a smooth 20 grand easy net profits. That's after all taxes and after all calculations. And remember, if you're curious about how I got to that number, I break down the entire deal later on in this video. But essentially, what you could do is if you want to chase some of the higher comps, you could turn this into a bedroom. There's a couple considerations that you have to make, all right? The bedroom's going to be a little bit small. I measured it out. If you take from where the staircase landing ends, you can move 3 feet away from that, and then you can start your bedroom. Why? Because all hallways have to be 3 feet, and they are wide at least, and they also have to have lighting in them. We have a lot of that lighting here. So if I moved 3 feet away from the stairs and then decided to cut it off about here, what you're looking at now is 8 feet to the wall and 9 feet going this way. So it'll be an 8 by 9 bedroom. Now, for the most part, someone might consider that a good, decent bedroom size, maybe for a guest room or something like that. So maybe not bad. You can maybe try to fight for that comp, but let's be honest, appraisals don't work that way exactly. If you don't have a bathroom down here, then that's not really gonna work. Well, luckily for me, I do have a bathroom. So let's go ahead and look at that and see if this is possible. All right, so here we are in the utility room, and what we're looking at here is we have a clear bathroom here, and I'm looking at a drain line there. You can see the clean out and all that. So, all right, perfect. We have kind of what we need. So the minimum we're gonna need here is we're gonna need the 4 feet, all right, in order to fit a toilet and a vanity. So that's gonna be a little tough to get in this space if we really want to. But as we look over here, we know we have a little bit more space to work with. I could very easily tie the washing machine into an actual drain line. That will mean I can get rid of this sink. The only thing I'll have to worry about left is you can see this right here, this clear plastic cord. This is actually from the condensate pump from the HVAC room, which if you don't know, AC units, kind of the ductwork and all that build water, and essentially they got to be pumped out. So this is something that needs to be worked out. But once I work out where I want to pump that somewhere else, I can remove this sink, push down this washing machine, and maybe even demolish this area, make it open space, just get rid of this entirely, wipe it out, and then I can put the bathroom over here, all right, maybe a standing shower. You only need that 4 feet of space, and then you can make that work. And then, yeah, you push this down. The dryer is on the other side of the room, so I, can either keep it right there, or if I want to make it more look organic, I can put it in the space I just demolished. So that's just some ideas. Keep in mind, cost is a factor here. So if I'm going to sell the house, I need to make sure that all this extra work I'm doing is worth the time. But as you see in my deal breakdown, I don't need to do any of this for this deal to profit me quite a bit. Now, as far as this, we're going to note, all right, we have a gas water heater. You can tell mostly because here's the gas feed, gas line feeding into the water tank. This part will be missing if it's not gas. And so this has to be replaced. It was put in 2007. Generally for a water heater, I'm paying about, for a gas one, a replacement about $850. If you call Len the plumber, they're going to charge you like $2,000, maybe more. So don't call a professional company or anything like that. Get, just the smaller licensed guys if you want to, but they'll charge you about $850 for something like this, maybe $1,000. So then we have this ductwork and all that. This all seems properly done. I get into how to assess these in some of my other videos, so we're going to leave it up to those because we still have the deal breakdown to do. So let me show you the layout on the top floors, and then let's get into the deal breakdown. All right, so here we are upstairs. So clearly, obviously, the person hasn't actually finished working on the upstairs. So I'm not going to stay here too long, but we're seeing some things, more return vents and open spaces. Perfect. This person knew what he was doing. I'm going to bring them to the bathroom, but overall, what we're looking at is a 2-bedroom house. There's going to be a master bedroom over here. It's actually a fairly large bedroom, probably going to be a little difficult to see, but I'll show you in some of this footage that we're showing you around here. And then behind me is going to be more of your child's room or some other room in the house. So not a very big house, but I'll show you how I get the evaluation. So like I said, you can either skip to that or right here, I'll just show you this bathroom and get into the deal breakdown. So here in this bathroom is the only thing I think I would change is I probably would get rid of this plastic here and probably go for more of a wow factor look with some tile. It's not going to cost me all that much. Just rip it down, then tile up just to the same point where he ended here. You could probably go all the way to the ceiling if you want to. And as long as you use the 12 by 12 tile, you save on labor costs. Maybe just use a single strip and then fill it up the rest of the way. Just the larger the tile is, the easier it is for your guys to do it, and therefore they'll charge you less. It won't cost me much. Fit a vanity in, glaze this tub, and then we're good. So let's go into the math on this. How exactly am I going to make 20 grand on this deal after taxes? Now keep in mind, we could probably make more, but I'll show you all that in the deal breakdown. So let's get to it. All right, so now we go into the deal breakdown part of this video. I'm going to show you all the numbers on my spreadsheet on my computer on why it is I think this is an excellent deal. Remember, only 2 weeks ago, I posted up a video of why I don't flip. That's because I often consider myself a beginner. The video was catered toward beginners, but now I have 9 properties, so I feel a lot more comfortable with what I'm doing. So let's break down the math and exactly why I thought this was a good deal. We're going to go into my spreadsheet, my deal calculator, so let's go into this. Now here we see a lot of numbers, okay? So there's a lot going on here. I get it. All right, you don't want to really focus on all this. We're just going to focus on this section right here. This is just showing a little bit of my math. This is showing if it's a good deal. Also note, we're not going to go into the other 2 spreadsheets. And for those of you who have bought this deal calculator, you're going to notice that there's many tabs. We're going to do the flip analysis, all right? So let's go ahead and zoom in. All right, so we're gonna make this a little less intimidating here, and let's go into my math. So first we have purchase price for $167,000. Now with this, I actually went into a bidding war with another buyer. They were originally listing at 160. This was a wholesaler assigning the deal. However, the other person put 165, and I told him I'm not going a dime above 167. At that point, the deal doesn't make any sense for me, and there's not enough wiggle room for me to make any mistakes. And so I finally got it under contract for 167. So let's see if that math worked out well for me. All right, so we're gonna go into the renovation costs. I'm of $25,000 for reno. Now, if you're wondering how I got to this number, I'm gonna cover that in other deal breakdowns. And for those of you who are in my mentorship course, which if you lend to me, I don't accept payment. Okay, you can't pay me to mentor you. I only mentor those who lend money, so I'm gonna pay you to mentor you. If you're interested, then message me in the email in the description below. But I'm going to go into other deal breakdown videos on how I got to this number, so don't worry about this, but it's $25,000 is what I expect. Final sale value. I'm going to focus on the sale. How did I get to this number? So for this deal breakdown, we're going to figure that out. So there's two ways I did it, all right? Now, there is this way where you go on Redfin. If you don't have access to the MLS, this is a way to do it. The first way I do is I go onto the street of which the property is, and I look at only the high numbers for these Redfin estimates. We get our range, okay? So with looking at our range, we only look at the high numbers. Why? Because we're gonna be renovating the property. We wanna see what the highest listed amount that Redfin even thinks. We're gonna stick within probably about $30,000 for a home under $200,000. So let's get our $30,000 range. This is gonna be really quick, but like I said, if you're in my mentorship program, then I do it a little bit slower so that way I can show you. But essentially, we're also going to want to exclude some of these ones that are bigger houses. You see this 344 here. So most of the time, we're only going to be looking at 2-bed. In this case, this is a 2-bed, 1-bath house. So, or technically 1.5 bath. And we could look at it for 3.5. 3-bed, 2.5. As I mentioned in the video, we could ultimately make this a bigger house, but that's what we're gonna do. Find our range. In this, I ended up finding that it would be about 250, all right, 250,000 to about 280,000 in my ARV. And the comfortable number, due to the size of this house, is gonna be probably more about that 280. But how did I get that? I didn't do that by finding this range. This range is not an ARV. All right, make sure you understand that. Do not use this to calculate your ARV. Instead, I use a realtor. Here I have a realtor, and feel free to contact him here at this number above. I am eventually going to become a realtor where I have access to the MLS, so this is great if you have access to it. But what he did was he looked at 2-bed, 2.5 bath, all right, 2-bed, 1-bath, kind of houses in the area to figure out what exactly I could get for my square footage, all right? And see, this is showing what's sold. All right, what's sold in the region recently, within that 3 to 6 months. Okay, you do not want to look past that. Appraisers won't look past that. All right, so like I said, don't have enough time in this video to go fully into detail on this, but you're noticing a range of prices here, and you want to make sure that your home, all right, so this is one far away from the property. Remember, my property is on 37th Street, right here. All right, so what we want to do is establish our clear boundaries. All right, our boundaries are what the appraiser is going to stick within. Usually the boundaries are created through major highways that don't get cut off. Notice this street here. It doesn't get cut off by the other highway streets. Notice this highway here doesn't get cut off. By the way, this is not just Baltimore. Okay, this is pretty much anywhere. Major roads, Falls Road, doesn't get cut off. Okay, it cuts through a large part of the city. All right, that's what you're looking for. That is establishing your boundary for which appraisers are going to look in. So I actually don't want to use these houses as much over here if I can avoid it. So I look around my street. All right, this one's pending for 210, 290. This one's sold for. That's a great comp for me, especially if it has the renovation quality that I'm looking for. All right, note everything's new in these photos. All right, and then we have, unfortunately, these are not good comps for us. All right, 195. All right, so maybe I can look at, all right, what went wrong for this one. They have carpeted floors. Maybe I can look at the square footage. Look at that. It's a lot smaller than my house. My house is actually more along the similar of, it's probably more like 1,100. Remember, I have a finished basement as well. I have a slightly bigger house. I'm going to do a slightly nicer renovation. Okay, so here I'm looking at it, 135, 195. Now, don't let these smaller comps immediately concern you. Remember, it's all about exactly the quality of renovation that they did. All right, and actually, noticing here, this seems to be like the same photos. So I guess that's, I don't know, this somehow, I guess they sold the entire building. Okay, so in this case, they sold the entire building for two different prices. So kind of a little bit of a skewed thing there. But here we go, 260. All right, 260, 186. Is this comp hurting me? Probably not. My building's actually bigger. It actually has a lawn. All right, that's another thing that this one doesn't have. Mine actually has, okay, so this is actually a nice, pretty good quality renovation. Kitchen's a little small, but overall probably not going to be too much smaller than what my kitchen is going to be. So has a, washer dryer in the facility, which I have. As a finished basement. All right, so this comp could work against me as well. All right, so I'm hoping for these 260s. All right, now, here's the thing. About hopeful, wishing and such, make sure that you know for a fact that you can probably get the minimum end. Yes, I mean, I'm not going to go toward the higher end. When I went through Redfin, I found, okay, 290, maybe 280 is probably the higher end, but you don't want to go toward that if you're noticing a lot of comps dragging you down, as we noticed in this video. So the max I think I can get probably on this house is 260. Maybe if I turn it into a 3-bedroom, which I talked about in my videos, which is what I plan to do, then I can get probably a higher evaluation. All right, so let's assume I'm going to turn this into a 3-bed just to make sure I can get that 260. Maybe we keep the bathroom, we turn it into a 2-bathroom and try to get those higher comps. So we know minimum 260 is probably the safe bet, especially if I increase the bed-bathroom count, which is easy to do, as you saw in the video. So let's go into the insurance. Insurance to hold it for a year. Honestly, I'm not holding it for a year. It's probably going to be half a year. This number could be cut in half, to be honest, but it is calculated against this holding time of 6 months, so it kind of does that work for me. In my calculator. So essentially acquisition costs, obviously it costs holding costs to purchase this. Short-term financing. Now, why is mine 0? This is because I partnered on the deal, okay? So what I decided to do was partner with one of my, another partner of mine who had the money to purchase the house, all cash, and fund the renovation, all cash. And I told her, okay, let's go ahead and split this profit 50-50. But instead of just splitting it and cashing out, let's instead put the money in the company, and then we use the funds from the company going forward to flip more deals. So now I'm starting to do that, flip more and more deals, so that way I don't need to rely on other people's money as much in order to fund my own renovations. So that's what we're doing. We're building into this. So if you find someone who has the money and just doesn't have the knowledge, this is a great JV technique. I talk about this in my private lending video, and I'll be producing many more of those on how I get private lenders. So let's go back to this. Here we got sales costs. I'm expecting to pay an agent 6%. This is based on the expectation that I do not become a realtor, but I plan to this month. So then we got seller subsidy. That's just in case I have to offer that. And this is how this math will basically break down. And obviously you have transfer and recordation and other taxes that you have to pay. So basically, here we go. This is another one, which is the taxes. All right, we want to factor in how much do our taxes take out of this. Unfortunately, Uncle Sam wants quite a bit. So the gross profits on this is going to be about $38,000. And the net profits about $23,000. And what I want is $20,000. All right, that's what I'm pretty much looking for in this deal. I don't want to go through all this, and it's not a lot of effort. As you saw, it's actually a cosmetic, but my goal is to not actually go through a lot of work for $20,000. And I know that seems like a lot of money. It is a lot of money, but realistically, I'm trying to not go below that number. I'd say in Baltimore City, if you're doing a flip, the minimum you want is about $15,000. Otherwise, you can just wholesale the deal and just get your $10,000 up front, rather than spending all this time doing it. And I talk about that on my Why I Don't Flip video as well. So like I said, if any of this was confusing, feel free to reach out to me. I'm definitely active on emails, and I'll let you know, hey, this is kind of how you analyze the ARVs and such. I know that this one went a little fast, but that was essentially it. What I expect to sell it for. I'm going to be doing a lot more videos on how I intend to do this renovation. It's going to be top quality finishes. Not top quality. I mean, basically, I'll be making a material breakdown on what I do for even my flips. You can actually make this look top quality with cheap finishes, all right? So don't think you have to spend huge amounts of money on this type of project. But anyway, that's it for this video. Let me know if you're interested in this spreadsheet. I sell it, like I said, you can email me if you would like this spreadsheet to calculate your deals, and I'll talk to you all very soon.